We're in part 2 of building your course. This again will be about a 30-minute session. We're going to go over several of the items that we went through in part 1, and we're going to specifically focus on creating quizzes and also how to weight grades in this video. So we'll jump into Island Cooking, and you'll recall in part 1 we created a page of information for week 1. We did a week 1 discussion and a week 1 assignment. So let's do a quick review of that. We're going to select the plus sign in our week 2 module, and we'll create a page of information. This is going to be a new page because I haven't created it before, and I'll make week 2 overview and instruction. And we'll go ahead and edit that page so that we can get some information on it. And it brings us to the rich content editor, and I'm going to put in my learning objectives for this week. And we're going to be working with kitchen tools, so let's put in those learning objectives. And that was a copy and paste, just a Control V. And I want to make these a numbered list, and this is a heading. And then we'll tell them what to read. And we'll tell them what to watch. And you'll recall that we used the YouTube feature in week 1 to put in our video. Sometimes you'll have video content in the form on a DVD or a CD from a publisher that you'll want to upload, or maybe it's a video that you've recorded yourself and you want to upload that. It's really simple. You upload that exactly like you do any other file. Canvas, however, will recognize it as being a media file, and it'll put it in here just to play right in the page of information. So let's go out and find that video, and here's the video that we have previously downloaded or brought in from our publisher, and we'll just go ahead and upload that. Now, depending on the time of day, your internet browser speed, and just different things, how long it's going to take. It may take up to 5 minutes depending on how large the video is, and sometimes even longer, but it'll give you a notification right here when it is complete. Okay, so the 3 little dots have stopped going. I see the file in my course files, and I see a link to that right here. So I'm going to go ahead and save and publish this page, and let's see what it looks like. And you'll see that even though this was a file link, it recognizes it as a media so that the student will be able to play it right in here, or they'll be able to download it. Let's go back to our modules. And so we've given them something to read, something to watch. We're going to go ahead and put in an assignment now. So let's hit the plus sign, and we're going to create a new assignment, and we're going to call this Showing Your Knife Skills. And we'll go ahead and add that item, and we'll open it up. Edit. You see the repetition going on here. Create a video showing how to properly use a knife to debone a fish. Yep. I guess that's a real word. I'm going to pretend it is. Upload. Make sure you talk and explain why you are holding and using the knife in that manner. I know that's pretty annoying, isn't it, listening to somebody type and talk at the same time. How many points is this assignment work? It's worth 100. It's not a discussion, it's an actual assignment, so I want to change my group. Am I doing this in points, or am I going to display the grade in percentages? Either one is fine. Now the submission here is an online submission, but this time we're not going to, we could allow file uploads and media recordings. They're going to be exactly the same thing. So I'm just going to select media record. Let's give a due date for this assignment. And this is week 2, so we're going to make it due the 30th at 11:59, and we're ready to save and publish. We'll quickly do a discussion for the week as well. So I'm going to go back to, and we won't put a rubric on this one. I'm going to go back to my modules, and I'm going to insert my discussion. This will be a new topic, and it's week 2. And we'll call this Desert Island. Let's go in and post our part of the discussion. So we've asked our question. We're going to allow threaded replies. We're going to have the user post his or hers before they see the rest of the comments by the fellow course members. I'm going to grade this assignment, and this one is going to have a possible 100 points. Display as percentage. It's assigned to the right assignment group, and I'm going to make this due on Wednesday the 26th. That is when the original post is going to be due, and I'll save and publish. We could have spruced this discussion up a little bit by throwing in a picture maybe of a desert island. So let's go back in and edit this. And remember, you can either upload a picture, or you can pull one in from Flickr. I'm going to go ahead and upload one that we've got in our files. And I don't have any great island pictures, but I'll go ahead and put this one in, this culture picture. I had one of fruit. Oh, let's do the Jamaica one. And I can say desert island here, even though it's not. Again, you have to put in this alternative text for your screen readers to be able to read it before you select the upload. And then it'll put the picture in for you. Just spruces up the conversation maybe a little bit, and it encourages the students to do the same. All right, now let's go back to our modules. And if we're looking at this, we see that this is sort of out of sequence. So I want to put the discussions before the assignment. I'm just going to see how that turns into 4 arrows there. I'm going to click and drag it in between the overview and the knife skills assignment. And now we're ready. Being week 2, we're going to do a quiz. This is a new quiz. And I'm just going to call this knife skills. And unfortunately, I can't create a new group here. but I know I want my quiz to be a new group, but I have to just go ahead and add the item. And you'll see now I've got an icon of, I guess it's a little rocket ship that shows me that this is a quiz. And we're going to go ahead and go into the quiz. And I'll bet you all know what's coming here. When I select Edit, we're going to be presented with the Rich Content Editor. And this is where I'm going to give some instructions about the quiz. And you get the idea. You can tell them whether it's a timed quiz, whether they can use a book, whatever you would have put for instructions, we'll go ahead and put here. Now, the different quiz types are graded quiz, which is the most common. You want to obviously grade it. And I know a lot of you are saying, I don't give quizzes, I give tests. Quiz is just the vocabulary that Canvas uses. You can call it whatever you want. This could be a knife skills test, a knife skills exam, whatever word you want to call it, but the type is a quiz in Canvas. Now, it could be a practice quiz. If it's a practice quiz, you're going to give them unlimited number of times to do it, and just still allow them to see what grade they would get. You can make it a graded survey. Now, a survey is going to be anonymous by nature. However, it'll tell you pass or fail whether they've completed the survey or not. And then, of course, you've got your ungraded survey, which is just truly anonymous, and you don't see who has posted anything in those. We're going to leave it at graded. I want to shuffle my answers. Now, I'm only going to do that if I don't have an all the above in the answers. And if there's a time limit on this quiz, I'm going to put that in there. Am I allowing them multiple attempts to do this? Well, for this first quiz, I am going to, because I always feel like it's the first quiz of the semester, they kind of mess it up. So I want to give them a couple of attempts. So I'm going to give them 2. And I can take the highest of the 2, the latest of the 2, or the average of the 2. I'm going to just go ahead and leave it at highest. Do I want the students to see which answers were incorrect? Yes, I'll go ahead and leave that. Do I want them to see the correct answers? I don't like them to see the correct answers until after everybody's taken the quiz, or at least a week after the quiz closed. So this quiz is going to be due again in week 2, so it's going to be due August 30th. So I want to give them a whole week after that before they actually see the answers. And I can hide them. I can give them a number of days that they can see the answers, and I will give them exactly 1 week. You could do to the end of the semester, or you wouldn't have to put that on at all. You can show one question at a time, or you would have a whole page of questions scrolling through. One of the reasons why you would do one question at a time is if a following question actually gives the answer to a previous question. The required access code has to do with passwords. If you want to password protect your quiz and have them all take it together at the same time in a room, then you would password protect it, and this would ensure that no one outside of the classroom would have that password. The filter IP address is usually not used. That has to do with the locations of where a test can be taken. And then are you assigning it to everyone, and when is it due? So I said this one was going to be due August 30th, and done. And we're not ready to save and publish, we're just ready to save because we haven't put any questions in there yet, right? So let's go ahead and edit again. And this time we're going to select the Questions tab. And we'll go ahead and create a new question. You'll notice that you can give your questions different names. I'm not going to be very inventive here. I'm just going to call it question 1. And what type of question is this going to be. Multiple choice is probably your most common type of question. Your essay question is the one where you are actually going to see whether the student has the knowledge of whatever the question was. It's a much better assessment than multiple choice, but we're going to go ahead and choose multiple choice just so I can show you how it works. I'm just going to put, what type of knife is this? So what type of knife is this? And we want to put an image right here to show them what we're talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and upload. I'm going to select my file. And oops, I made a mistake there. I don't want to select my file. I want to select an image. And I'm going to choose my file. And I'm going to choose my fillet knives. And I'm just going to put the word knife here because I don't want the screen reader to give the student an answer. I'm going to assume that if I have a visual assignment like this and the person is visually impaired, that it's something that I'm going to walk them through. Now I can upload it. Ooh, that's a pretty big picture, so I'm going to resize it. Okay, and then I can give my different answers. Now maybe this is a butcher's knife, fillet knife, paring knife, and steak knife. Now butcher's knife is not correct. The correct answer is actually fillet knife. So even though this is showing correct, all I have to do to make this one the correct one is click on the green arrow that comes up next to it. And now I'm going to update the question. So there, we've made our first question. I do want to point out that now the quiz is worth 1 point. That's because the test is only worth, or the question is only worth 1 point. That's the default in Canvas. If you want this question to be worth more, you can put in the number there with the pencil and again update the question. And now we're going to put in another question, so another new question, and we'll do question 2. And we'll make this an essay question. And you could have them upload a video if you want to. And again, the way that they'll upload the video is through here, insert media on their answer, or record and upload media here, or there will be a new piece in here soon called Studio that they'll be able to use. So we'll put our question in here. And there is no correct answer when it comes to an essay question, so we'll just go ahead and update the question. Let's go ahead and save and publish and just take a look at what our 2-question quiz looks like. So we just click here to preview it. What we're going to see is just the 2 questions, exactly the way the students would see it. We didn't do single question. Before we go back into this, I want to talk a little bit about textbook publishers and their offers to give you test questions. Many of them have great test banks. I would advise you to use more of the essay questions if they have them rather than the multiple choice, because virtually the minute a textbook quiz bank is out there, it's searchable on the web. The answer is going to come up. So unless you give them a very short amount of time to take the quiz, multiple choice questions from a textbook publisher are easily cheated. But let me just show you how to import a quiz or a test bank. Now, the one that I'm going to import actually came from a test bank that I used on Advanced 360. So this was pulled in from Advanced 360, but the same directions will apply if you get your files from the textbook publisher itself. You're going to go to Settings in your course. On the right hand side, there's a selection of Import Course Content. And depending again where you're getting your file from is the type of file there is. When I select this down arrow, you see that you have several choices. Blackboard, Angel are very common LMS systems, D2L, export.zip format, Moodle. Those are all other types of system files, and many of your publishers will write specifically for those programs. But good news is you can pull it into your Canvas course as well. I'm going to pull in the type that I'm using today is a QTI zip file from Advanced 360. I'm going to go ahead and choose the file. And I need to go out and find where I put it. And you'll see I have two zip files here. I'm going to go ahead and choose Chapter 4. Now, because this was an actual quiz that I exported, it will also bring the quiz in, but it brings the quiz and the test bank. I can create a new question bank for this if I'd like to, or I can put it with those two questions that we've already put together, the unfiled questions. I'm going to let it create a new question bank, and I'll call it Testing from Another. And I'll go ahead and click Import. You do not have to put it in a separate bank like that, but it would help if you know like which chapter it came from or which publisher it came from. Okay, it came in that quickly. Now let's go ahead and look at our quizzes to see if it's in there. It's like I said, it should come in as quiz, which it did. And there was 25 questions in it. I'm not going to use this quiz in this course, so I can delete the quiz. That's not going to delete the question bank. So let's go into that knife skills quiz or test that we were in. We'll edit it, and I'll show you how you're going to pull in those questions. I'm going to come all the way to the bottom, and instead of a new question, I'm going to find questions. And there's the Chapter 4 questions that I pulled in. Now these are actually HR questions because that's what I was teaching at the time. I can select all the questions and go to the bottom and add the questions, or I can select just a few at a time. Whichever you do, just remember you have to come all the way to the bottom and add the questions even if you have another question bank there. Okay, it'll quickly add the question, but remember we were saying that these are coming in at 1 point apiece. Can you imagine if you brought in 100 questions and you wanted them all to be 5 points? Yes, you could edit each one of them using the little pencil. But instead, let's say I want these last 3 questions to be worth 10 points apiece. I'm going to create a new question group, and I'm just going to call it 10 points. And I'm going to pick 3 questions, and they'll be 10 points apiece. And I'm going to go ahead and create the group. Now it gives me an error message because there are no questions in this group right now to select from. It's really simple. All I have to do is click on the 6 little dots. I think it's 6, might be 9, 8, whatever. The little dots over here and drag them down. And there we've created our group. Now it won't change anything with the error message. I just need to select save. That saves the quiz and it saves those questions. And you'll notice now that our quiz or our test is worth 37 points. Remember, we had one at 5 points, we had 3 at 10 points, and then we had some individual. So that's all there is to creating a quiz and importing quizzes in Canvas. The last thing we want to look at today are grades using weighted grades and grade categories or grade groups. So let's go over to the grades grade book and take a look at what we've got. You'll notice that every assignment or quiz that we've put in, discussions, tests, are all in here. But we only have two groups. We have a discussion group and an assignment group. Well, I want quizzes all by themselves. I want to see how my students do specifically on quizzes or tests as opposed to maybe discussions or assignments. The way we're going to do that is to go back to the assignments link. And you'll notice that we've lost our left navigation. I just need to use these breadcrumbs up here to go back. And then I want to find assignments. And I see we have two groups. We have discussions and assignments, but I want a third group for the tests. So I'm going to add a group. And by now you should be figuring out anytime I want to add or edit, I'm going to head towards the upper right portion of my screen. So I'm going to add the group, and this is going to be my tests group. And again, I don't have to call it quizzes just because that's what Canvas calls it. And then to put this test down there, I just have to drag it and drop it in the right group. And now when I create new tests, tests will be a new group that I can put those tests in. Now you'll notice that there are no weights. These are all distributed evenly across. If I want my assignments to be worth, let's say, 60%, my discussions to be worth 30%, and my quizzes to only be worth 10%, I'm going to use the more options button, the 3 dots in vertical, and I'm going to select assignment group weight. And when I do that, it pulls up my discussions, assignments, and tests. And I said this was going to be worth 30, assignments were going to be worth 60, and tests worth 10%. And because I've made everything worth 100%, which, well, actually my test was only worth 37 points, but had it been 100%, that's when weighting works really well, is if you're not mixing your points and your weights. But maybe that particular test wasn't worth as much as maybe the other 100% ones would be, which gives it even a lesser weight, if that makes sense. A word of warning, this will let you go over your 100%, which kind of makes no sense. Advanced 360 never did that, but so I'm going to make sure that we're at 100% and we'll hit save. And that's all there is to weighting. So this has been part 2 of building your Canvas course. We have one more part to go, and in part 3 we're going to take a look at grading quizzes, grading discussion messages, and grading assignments using the speed grader, and I'll also show you how to use the rubric for grading. Then we're going to look at how to build a home page for your course so that when you select home, it doesn't just go to the modules, but it actually makes a nice looking welcoming page here. And then last 2 things that we're going to go over tomorrow or the next lesson is how to link some assignments and that to the syllabus, and what some of these other links are. And then also I'll show you how to pull in the course template that's available for Carson-Newman. See you in part 3.